Hey, what's up,
Recording?
everybody?
Sorry. All right.
No, you're good.
Okay.
Hey, what's up, everybody? I'm Elijah.
I'm Tomas.
You're watching Project 518.
Welcome back.
Hey, today we're going to be talking about why you should stay single and things that you can do to prepare yourself before getting into a relationship.
Sounds good to me. And I think it's not about why you should be single, but I mean, it's not why like you should stay single. It's things that you should take care of before you start seeking a relationship.
There you go.
So, should we get into it?
Let's do it.
All right. So, point number one, it's better to be single than to be in a relationship just for the sake of being in a relationship. So, what I'm experiencing right now is as a single guy, I mean, I don't want a relationship just to be in a relationship. And I would much rather be single than be in like an okay relationship. If it's not great, then I mean, you're kind of like just to be with someone just for the sake of being with someone. It's not a proper way to be in a relationship. And you're gonna find that things will fail down the road.
Right. Yeah, because you're not really like, I feel like you're not really putting 100% into it that way. You know what I mean? It's not as genuine as it should be because you're just like doing it for you're doing it for the idea of it. You're doing it for like the image of it. You're not really doing it for the desire of like,
Yeah, I think it's like you're coming from more of a lack mentality where you lack a relationship, so you want one rather than like genuine feelings for someone.
rather than the genuine feelings to be with that person all the time.
Right.
You
And
just
if
like don't want to lack. Yeah.
Yeah, and if like that person isn't helping you grow and get better, what's the point of being there? If it's like someone who's stressing you out, holding you back, like I'm not saying at the first sight of stress, get out of there. But I'm
Right.
saying like some people try to justify these horrible relationships. Like people will be cheating on each other. You'll be stressing each other out. You'll be holding each other back from opportunities. Like, no, don't take that job because when it could be a great opportunity. And then they'll try to justify it and say, hey, I'm in a relationship. So, I mean, we got to make it work. Like sometimes things are just, if it's like that difficult to be with someone, why are you with them in the first place? I mean,
Right. Yeah. It all should just come from like a genuine sense of like longing to be with that person and be around that person.
right. And helping them grow and them helping you grow.
Right. Yeah, exactly. And I feel like that kind of ties into like another thing to where like you're constantly forsaking yourself for the others' sake. So like you're always putting them before you. Like if you're constantly forsaking yourself for somebody else, like it can be out of feelings to where you might think that like, oh, I love this person so much, like I just want to give them everything, like even if it takes from me. I just feel like the vibes are going to go down when you abandon yourself, to cater to others.
I think like just abandoning yourself in general to put someone else first all the time is something that's like very common. I mean, I've done it myself.
Hmm.
And you end up at a place where you're not really yourself anymore. You kind of leave yourself behind just to be that person becomes like the main focus of your universe. And that's really when relationships start going downhill quick. Because I mean, a relationship's supposed to be two people with their own goals, with their own things coming together, not you making someone else the center of your universe or vice versa.
Right. Yeah. And like with that, I feel like there's been instances in like my personal experiences in relationships to where like if one person's catering for the other one more than themselves, then like that can also lead down the road to where they start blaming the person for doing that. Like they start blaming their significant other for how they were catering to them, even though like they didn't ask them to do that. You know what I mean? It's just how it played out.
Yeah, you
So
start,
which
yeah, like you said, you start building resentment towards the other person.
yeah,
And
building resentment.
it's like sometimes you want them to be a certain way, which they're just not. You get this idea in your head that they have to act a certain way because you devote all this energy to them. And then you start like, I don't know, you start resenting them when they act the way that they are, not the way you want them to act. It's like a whole
Exactly.
cycle. It's a cycle, man.
It's a cycle that needs to be broken.
Right. Right. So yeah, I mean, don't forsake yourself for the sake of someone else. Always put yourself first, and then, I mean, yeah, like find that balance, but put yourself first, and then
Yeah, and that's not like saying like you need to be selfish and like only worry about yourself first before anybody else. But like what that means is like you need to worry about yourself constantly, including when you're worrying about other people. So like if somebody asks you to do something and you think to yourself like, and if you feel in your gut like you're like, damn, I don't want to do this, but you come out and say like, hey, I'll do it, then like you forsake yourself. You know what I mean?
right.
So it's
Never,
not like,
never break your values for somebody else.
yeah, exactly.
I was gonna say something else about this before I move on, but I forgot. But I forgot. Um, I think it like as a man, go. This is towards the guys and the girls too. I mean, when you're on your own purpose and you have a mission for your life, and someone else comes in and you let them take you off that purpose and that mission, you let them move you, that's really like, that's number one, like showing kind of weakness in your character. You lose some of that attraction that attracted that person in the first place. So I think in a more general point of view, the like when you get into a relationship, always put yourself first in terms of your purpose, your mission, do your thing. Then you can really give, you can really give that, you can really open yourself up. Because like if you're someone who gets moved off their mission, and that's really when you put the other person first in the center of your whole universe, your whole life becomes them, and you just become like somebody else towards the end.
Right. Yeah, man. And that like brings us into our third point, I would say.
So yeah, our third point: do not get distracted from your goals. Perfect intro, huh?
Yes.
So
Hyped it up already.
I know I was doing a prequel, but like I said, if you put more energy into your significant other rather than your goals, you won't reach them, or it'll take you much longer to reach them. So these distractions will sway you off course, and you're gonna find that you lose sight of your goals. And when the truth comes, I mean, when the moment comes where reality hits you in the face, you're either so far from your goal you can't get to it, or you find that you've kind of lost yourself and you have to get back to get to your goals.
Yeah, exactly, man. Like that's how I feel right now. Like, that relationship I was in for like 4 years of my life,
Yep.
coming out of high school, starting at 18 years old. And then I broke up with her when I was 22. Like, dude, I had goals coming out of high school, like wanting to become like a content creator or like do something or like do music or whatever. Like I just had aspirations. I was going to go to college and stuff. And I just feel like I kind of slowly let go of everything else that I wanted to do and started conforming my life and my future towards her life and towards her future. And that's kind of how I lost my sight and my goals. And didn't really have good balance in my distribution of energies. Like I was distributing more of my attention towards her and like forsaking myself, you know what I'm saying? And after the 4 years of doing that is when I decided, like, you know what, I'm done. Time to switch it up and start, you know what I mean, distributing my energies towards me and working on my goals more and working on the things that I want to do in my life and just living more on my whims than somebody else's whims.
Right. And I feel the same exact way. I mean, I just recently got out of a relationship, like a long-term relationship, and I was doing the same exact thing. I kind of had these goals in mind before. Like I was doing these things, like same thing, being creating videos, creating music, all this. And then you just kind of lose sight of it. You just kind of get caught up in the everyday relationship stuff.
Yeah, because I
And
mean, if you got to work and then you got to like, you barely have enough free time as it is after work, and all that free time has to go into talking to your girlfriend or your boyfriend or whatever. Like,
yeah,
it's just losing time and losing, and that you just keep losing focus and snowballing to where most of your time is just now going to somebody else, and none of your time is going to you because it's going to the person you work for, and then it's going to the person you sleep with.
exactly. And I think a lot of people think that the more time you spend with your significant other means the closer you get, when in reality, that's kind of, I don't know if, I don't think that's true. I mean, there has to be that balance where you give yourself your own time to do your own thing. Let them miss
Mhm.
you for a minute.
Right. Yeah. I feel like it's actually the opposite. Like the more time you spend together could be detrimental. I mean, not in
Could
all
be.
cases, but like it could be because like eventually you'll start to like just keep getting on each other's nerves and like,
Oh
you know
yeah.
what I mean? I mean, maybe in that way, that's how you find out if you're cut out to be together. But then again, like you can also find out that what if every relationship you get into when you try to do that and you always get tired of each other, like maybe at the one point you just need to find balance in between giving yourselves time for each other and you know what I mean, to be
Yeah.
alone and having you time with each other.
Yeah, I agree. I think if you don't give yourself that time, if you don't cater to yourself, I don't think anyone else will cater to you either. Like no one will, your significant other will want to give you the time after, like if you give them all your time and again make everything about them, they're not, I think that's when you start to like lose the attraction, lose the that balance.
There's definitely aspects in relationships that like grow and then aspects in relationships that like kind of weaken as
Mhm.
you progress in the relationship. And I feel like that's all just dependent on the time that you spend with each other and what things that you're doing with the time with each other. So like if you guys are spending all your time together but you're not even doing nothing, you're just like in each other's presence, you know what I mean? Like that could be nice, but like I feel like sometimes that might be
I mean,
that kind of it's like something else that we talked about in one of our videos. Like if you don't think that what you have to say has meaning or is valuable, then like nobody else is gonna think that what you're saying is valuable either. So it's like if you don't like cater to yourself, then your significant other is not gonna cater to you either. They're gonna keep thinking about how you cater to them, and then that's just gonna be it.
right,
You're gonna be
exactly.
stuck in that cycle. But yeah, shall we move on to the fourth point?
Hit it.
Yes, sir. So, fourth is worrying all the time about being in a relationship or feeling quote unquote lonely without one. So, like, if you're not happy alone, then how can you actually be truly happy in a relationship? With that, yes, somebody else can provide you with happiness that you can't provide yourself. Obviously, that's why we have interactions with people, to have external sources coming in at us. If you like let those control your happiness more than your own.
If you let those external factors control your happiness more than like your internal source,
Yeah, your internal source.
you will never be truly fulfilled, I don't think.
Right. Yeah. Stop trying to fill your holes with anything other but yourself. Like, I feel like you'll always feel lack when you're seeking external validation.
Oh,
Because
big
if
time.
if you can't provide it within yourself, then and you go without your significant other, like they're at work or something, or like they go on a trip or something, like that's just gonna provide you with more feelings of lack in your relationship with them. And you're not gonna be having any positive feelings with them, whereas you're gonna be growing more negative feelings.
Yeah, you're gonna be like anxious, like where are they? What are they doing? Like this and that. Oh, I wish they were here. Fill up your own cup, and then you can truly share with someone else. I mean, if you're waiting for someone to come and make you the happiest man or the happiest woman alive, if you're waiting for someone else to come and do that, you're going to be very disappointed because no one's ever going to live up to your expectations, and you won't really be able to give them what they deserve either. Because what are you going to do? Like if your cup is empty, what do you have to give them?
Right. Yeah. I mean, I find myself even in the relationship that I'm in now, like where I'll feel like sometimes we don't live up to each other's expectations. And then we just have to stand back and really discuss and talk about like what our expectations are and really just understand that like sometimes you have expectations that can't be met by somebody else just because like it's just personality differences, and how people react to things are always going to be different. So, like, if you can't be satisfied with your own reactions towards the situation, and you have to look towards your significant other's reactions towards the situation too, to base how you feel on it, then I feel like you're not ready to be in a relationship yet.
No, not at all. I think once you, like you said, once your partner's mood starts to dictate how you feel, that's when you're getting into trouble because you're basing all your feelings based on theirs, and it's never going to match. I mean, once you find that you're your own person with your own feelings, then they can feed off of that, and they can also, it's like you kind of build each other up little by little. And rather than have these expectations of someone, you kind of try to understand them, because the way people portray themselves is different than what you might expect them to. And I don't know, I mean, they might be feeling a certain way but show it in a way that to you seems like hostile, but to them seems like it's okay.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's more understanding each other rather than expecting them to act a certain way so you can feel a certain way.
Yeah, definitely have to have that understanding and be able to see things from multiple perspectives rather than just one.
Exactly. All right. So switching
Yeah.
gears a little bit, right?
Yes, sir.
So
Switching gears into things that we can do to prepare for ourselves being into a relationship, going into a relationship.
exactly. So before your next relationship, if you are single right now, or even if you are in a relationship, these are some things that you want to keep in mind or look out for and start to pay attention to, because these things can make a relationship thrive, or they can also destroy them if used the wrong way. So number one, find balance in how you distribute your energies. I think Elijah touched up on that a little bit. It's always about finding that balance, like whether it's your significant other versus you. You don't want to put them first all the time, but you also don't want to put yourself first all the time. You got to find that sweet spot where you take care of yourself and you're able to give as well.
Yeah, and be able to like divide your attention, divide your, your energy, like your work, you know what I mean? And
Yep.
by work, I mean like you're working yourself towards your goals, and also you're working your relationship, like towards the time that you're spending with your significant other. And also the love, like dividing your love, your self-love and your love for the others. Cause like if you're putting, 80% love into your significant other, and 10% love into your career, or 0% love into your career and 20% love into yourself, or you know what I mean, then you're kind of failing in those other aspects, and that's gonna in turn drain yourself in the relationship.
Sure. Perfect.
Yeah, yeah. I feel like that's the basis of it, is just like finding the balance and within your own source and in the external sources.
Number two, this is a super important one, and it's find inner love before seeking outer love. So, unless you love yourself, I'm sure you've heard this a lot. You can't love someone properly until you truly love yourself. So, dealing from experience, when I went through a breakup, you feel like you lack this love. And then eventually, though, I realized that all the feelings that I felt for someone else, they're all within me. So, I mean, these feelings really come from within. The love is really all inside yourself. So, that's when I realized that love is actually something within that you find. And once I realized that, and I started to kind of do some work towards it, meditating, like doing my mental work to kind of work on myself in that aspect. That's really when I felt that I can 100% be fulfilled on my own. And if I were to find the right person, I'm in no rush. I mean, if I were, though, it could be a different level now, because I never really found that before. I never took the time to work on myself that way. So the love is all within you.
Yeah, man. And not to give away your privacy, man, but I do remember like when we was talking when you first got over that breakup, like how you started finding more, more love internally, and how you started realizing and coming to those, because like I feel like when you're in the relationship, sometimes you won't even be aware that you're doing this, but when you got out of that relationship, you started talking to me about how you started realizing like you just need to give more attention to yourself and take more time to work on yourself, and like you're saying, like meditate, and just find out ways that you can really be happy with yourself, like what you see yourself envisioning in another relationship. Like when you're thinking about like, oh, I want to be in a relationship with somebody, like the things that you think about feeling for that person and that person feeling for you, you should be feeling for yourself first.
Exactly. And going way back to what you said, how can they feel something for you if you don't even feel it for yourself? It's
Hmm.
like eventually all the self-deprecating talk that you talk to yourself in your mind, I mean, that's going to reflect in how you act towards them, and it'll in turn reflect how they act towards you. So, like I used to find myself being like, oh man, like even physically, like attractiveness, I would be like, oh man, like I'm attractive because I'm in a relationship. And then when that relationship ended, I'm like, man, what did I do wrong? Like, am I not likable? And it's like, no, I mean, sometimes it just doesn't work out. And at the end of the day, like when you look in the mirror, you got to empower yourself. I mean, give yourself that, work on yourself, give yourself that like boost. Cause I mean, no one else is going to give it to you. And if all you do is seek that validation from people, it's not always going to be there. So when it's there, you'll feel amazing. You'll be the king or queen of the world. But when it's not there, you're going to crash real hard.
I feel like so there's a popular saying, right? Treat others how you want to be treated. Okay, we've all heard that saying. But I feel like a saying that should be even more popular is others will treat you how you treat yourself.
Right, right. Treat yourself how you want to be treated.
Yeah, because yeah, you should because others will treat you how you treat yourself. Like if you have all that negative talk in your head, like people aren't really gonna think that you're amounting to much. Like, but if you're like someone who is always hyped and somebody who always hypes yourself up and is a go-getter, like people are gonna think that that's what you're about. You know what I mean? So,
100% agree.
all right. So, number three, if you're not growing together, you're growing apart. Okay, so I would say like you need to basically ensure that the person that you're interested in getting into a relationship with, if you start talking to somebody and you're like thinking that you want to take it somewhere else or you want it to go somewhere else, you should really make sure first that they're able to grow with you and that you guys share the same certain ideals that are like make or break, within your life. Like make sure that you share the same values. I'm not saying that like you have to have the same mentality, you have to have the same personality. No, that's boring. But you should definitely share the same core values in life, which is like, so for me, me and my significant other, I would expect would feel always the need to grow, keep growing together and like, you know what I mean, always self-improve. So like that's like something that I look for in a significant other. So like if I was to get with somebody who wasn't really interested in improving themselves and they wasn't really interested in the journey like I am, then our relationship would just falter, and the energies wouldn't be there. So you should really just make sure that like your life principles match up with theirs.
Right. I agree. I mean, like you said, it's not about being the same person, like the same, a mirror of each other, but you have to have similar values. And that might not be the same goals, but like you said, self improvement's a big one. I mean, if you're someone who's working on themselves constantly to grow, and you're with someone who's doesn't give a shit about that, they just want to stay where they are, leave me alone, you're gonna find yourself on two different like wavelengths pretty much. You're gonna find yourself seeking different things. Like when you'll be seeking to maybe work more or find a side hustle, they'll be trying to pull you in a different direction. And I think you'll never really align. And I mean, it's you're growing apart, you grow apart.
Right. Yeah. You just start to drift off. I feel
Right.
like uh nothing in this world is like more powerful than the feeling of love. Like if you really think about it, like because like love is kind of a basis, a base, you know what I mean, into the so you can add love into feelings. Like you can add love for rage, you can add love for love. I love to love, you know what I mean? So like if you add love into yourself and like love yourself, then like you'll start to realize how easier it'll be for you to love somebody else and how easier it'll be for somebody else to love you. But if you're not fully content with who you are and you're not fully satisfied with who you are, then I don't feel like you're ready to be in a relationship because you're going to subject yourself as somebody like basically you're telling yourself like I don't like me but you better like me. Like
Right.
what is that? Like that's messed up.
And it's I think that's when you run into the where you let people treat you like crap. I mean, once you find that self love, you find your self worth. And number one, you don't stand for people that step all over you in a relationship or not. And that's when you really like when you don't have that self worth, you let people like step all over you, treat you like crap. I mean, I think it's common a lot because people will try to find love with inside someone else rather than find it within themselves. And yeah, I mean, that's just not cool. I mean, to let someone treat you like dirt just to be in a relationship, just because you think they love you. And
Right.
so,
And you might even think that it's coming from a place of care, even though it's like totally toxic and
yeah,
damaging. So if you don't like that, so that's why it's important to really be fully like, I mean, I'm not saying you have to be a master in your life before you get with somebody else, but you just have to, understand what your principles are and then
mhm,
understand that their principles match them.
right. Definitely agree.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like that's a short, sweet, and, to the point, things to just consider before getting into a relationship.
Number one, like the first part of this video, don't get into a relationship just to be in like some mediocre type of thing. He agrees.
Yeah.
I think he's taking a shit. Also, work on yourself before getting into a relationship. There's a lot of things that should be in order before you jump into anything with someone because it's like you're meeting a whole other person, a whole other energy, and you don't want to sabotage yourself, sabotage them. You want to have everything in order, so that way you can thrive together.
Hmm. If you think about the reasons why you get with somebody, it's to further your experience in this life. You know what I mean? Because like there's only so much that you can do within yourself, obviously. And then you can find different happinesses with somebody else, yes. But just make sure that that's not where you're finding all your happiness,
Yep.
because you'll find out that soon enough, that's not going to be much happiness at all.
It won't be enough. I mean, it's like a drug kind of. You got to need more and more and more and more and more, and then they won't live up to it. And
Right. That's because it's stuff that people go through. It's stuff
yeah,
that I've been through, you know, you've been through. I feel like anybody who's been in a relationship a few times at least has been through it,
mhm.
just because it's a learning process,
Yeah. I mean, it's a learning, and you learn about yourself, learn about the other
Mhm.
person, but always like never rely on external sources for anything.
Yeah.
Power
Pull from
within.
your own well.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Fill your own cup from your own well. I feel like
Mhm.
with that, Tomas, did you have anything else you wanted to add?
I think we pretty much nailed it.
Nailed it. Yeah. Well, we appreciate you guys for watching. Always love yourselves. We love you.
Exactly.
Tomas,
Much
I love you.
sending much love. Love to you, bro. Love to everyone.
Yes, yes. And have a great day today, everybody. And,
Let's do
if you
it.
like this, yeah, if you like this content, you appreciate what we're talking about, feel free to hit that like button and subscribe, comment. I
It
mean, I
helps
feel
us
like,
out.
yeah, we'll reply to any comments. There's so many, but we'll try to sift through them and get to all of them.
Yeah, we're getting through them. We'll get through them. There's two of us
All right, another great one down.
down in the books.
All right, this is Project 518 signing out.
All right. Peace.
Peace.